Hey guys, Ike here from Mike'sOutdoors.com. We're here today to continue with our used bow build, and we're going to talk about changing the draw weight on your bow today. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the how to change your draw weight on a factory bow, just the basics of how to change your draw weight. And then I'm going to talk to you about how to change your draw weight on a factory bow versus some of the things you need to do on a used bow. So changing your draw weight on a factory bow, or changing your draw weight in general, is pretty simple, pretty easy to do, but you need to make sure you do it right. So there are a few keys that you need to make sure you follow to make sure you do it safely and properly. The first key is call the manufacturer, or it's generally in the owner's manual, but if you're buying a used bow, assuming you're probably not getting the owner's manual with it. So if you don't get an owner's manual with it, call the manufacturer. But if you do get an owner's manual with it, consult the owner's manual, and it'll tell you how many times you can turn these limb bolts out from their maximum tightest setting. So you need to follow that, because if it says you can only turn this out 6 turns, then you turn it out 10 turns, this thing can blow up on you. And if it blows up, you're going to have a lot of parts and pieces going in places that you probably don't want them to go. So be sure to follow the manufacturer's recommendation on how many turns you can loosen these up. And keep in mind, that is from all the way down. That is from as tight as this limb bolt will go. So don't back it out too far, or you'll have a potential cause of blowing up your bow, but you'll also have a potential to hurt yourself. So what you're going to need to do to change your draw weight on this bow is a scale. Will be pretty handy, and I'll show you the scale that I use in a minute, but all you're going to need really is a set of Allen wrenches. What you're going to need is a set that's got at least a 3/16 and a 1/4 inch in it. Most of these are 3/16 or a 1/4 Allen wrench. Factory bows are going to come with the limbs all the way down. So if it's a 70-pound bow, it's going to be set at 70 pounds. If it's a 60-pound bow, 60, 50, etc., etc. So the rule of thumb when it comes to changing a draw weight on these is there's a couple of general rules. One is however many turns you take out of the top limb, you need to take out of or put into the bottom limb. So whatever you do to the top limb, you need to do to the bottom limb as well. So we'll talk about your parts here. This is your limb pocket, and this is your limb bolt. That's basically all you need to know to do that. If you want to add weight to your limb bolt, or to your bow, you need to turn your limb bolt right. That tightens it up, puts more pressure on this bow, and actually increases the draw weight. If you want to lower your draw weight, you need to turn it to the left. So left, lower, LL. That's how a good way of remembering it. Left is lower, lefty loosey, lefty lower, and righty tighty, right more. There's a good rule of thumb on how to change the draw length and what each way that you change this draw or turn this limb bolt is actually going to do. So if you want to add draw weight to this, what I like to do is I like to put my Allen wrenches in there in a way that is repeatable, in a way that I can come back to that position. You can put a 1/4 of a turn, you can put a 1/2 a turn, you can put a whole turn. What I like to do though is I like to do no more than 2 turns on the top and 2 turns on the bottom at a time. So if I'm going to do 4 or 5 turns, I want to do 2 turns here and 2 turns here. So at a time, and then when I get to my desired draw weight, then I'm set. But what you're going to do is you're going to set this in a position where you can remember how it is. I like to set it right now. It's at a 90-degree angle. If I can't do that, I like to try to set it where it's in line with the cam. So if I want to add draw weight to this, I just turn it to the right. I just turned it to the right a 1/2 a turn. That's going to add, depending on your bow, but that's going to add maybe 2 pounds, maybe as much as 4. So if I want to lower the draw weight, I'm going to turn it to the left. Right there, we're 1/2 a turn. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on the bottom that I did on the top. So if I add a single turn to the top, I'm going to add a single turn to the bottom. If I take out a single turn on the top, I'm going to take out a single turn on the bottom. Now, on a used bow, you have no idea where this thing is set. You may be on a comfortable draw weight for you, and you may determine, hey, this is the draw weight that I want that at. I still do this on any used bow that I buy. You want to make sure that these are set and that these are both in the right position. You want to make sure that they're equal with each other. So what I'll do on a used bow is I'll actually turn this thing all the way down, and you can keep track of how many turns you put in it. And now that thing is bottomed out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bottom out the bottom one as well. And what this does is it actually syncs these limbs up. No matter what the previous owner did to this bow as far as changing the draw weight, this is going to set it back to 0. This is going to set everything back to equal position. And if you do like I just did and didn't count the turns, you know that they're even now. So if you're changing the draw weight and you get off and you don't count the turns, you're talking to a camera instead of paying attention to what you're doing, you can bottom these things out and start over again. This is basically your reset button. Start these things out all the way at the bottom and bottomed out as tight as they'll go, and you know that they're even. So now I can go back, I can put this in a position that's repeatable, and I can go I can go half, 1, half, 2, half on my bottom, and I can do the same thing on the top. Half, 1, half, 2, half. So now, by bottoming both of those out before I did anything to them, I know that those limbs are even. And I believe the first time that I tightened up the top, before I got to talking, I believe I did 2.5 turns. So I think that they're back to where they originally were. If I have questions about where they originally were, or I want to know what their actually draw weight is set at, because it is really handy when you're coming to choosing your arrow spine, choosing the proper arrow spine, you really need to know what your draw weight is. And if you're a guy like me, I shoot a 27.5-inch draw and I shoot about 62 to 65 pounds. If I shoot 62 pounds, I can generally shoot a 400 spine arrow. If I shoot 65 pounds, then I need to go on up to that 350 spine. So it's really handy to know your draw weight so you can fine tune the stiffness of your arrow. And especially if you're like me, which I'm right on the edge all the time, you can buy a scale like this at Walmart. This is the cheapest one that I found. I actually bought this when I was in a bind doing a bow review and my scale quit. You can buy this one at Walmart. You can buy digital ones at Amazon for $10. So they're really cheap. And what I've done is I've got a deal that I welded up. It's got a crank on it, and this actually has a place on the top where I just put it on there, and it's got a lip over the front so it can't come off. But I just put it on there. It's got the lip in the front. Hook it on there and set my bow here and actually pull my bow through. Now where I like this one versus the digital ones, and there are some digital ones that have this, is this one actually has a dial on the front, so when I pull this thing down it moves that black dial, and the black dial does not reset, so I can actually see what my bow peak weight was without having to try to watch the scale and try to guess it. So I can look and see that I just pulled this thing at 22 pounds, so I can reset that every time I want to, and I can reset it down, and that time I pulled 28 pounds. So I like that, and this one only goes up to 80 pounds, but I'm never going to shoot 80 pounds, so it works out really well for me. I actually drove down to Walmart and bought this one in the luggage scale. This is for measuring the weight of luggage. So pretty handy to have a scale, not necessarily something you have to have, but it's really, really handy to have to really fine-tune your arrow selection as far as stiffness goes. So that's it. That's all you have to do to change the draw weight on your bow, and it is really simple, really easy to do, and something, especially as a new shooter, you're going to do quite a bit. You're going to do it a lot. Especially you're going to start out, if you buy a brand new bow, you're going to start out with it on, 50 pounds. By the time you start shooting and developing those muscles, you're going to be at 60 pounds before you know it. So it's really handy to be able to lower that thing to the 50-pound mark so you can shoot it, and to adjust it up as you go and develop those muscles and start to shoot and draw more weight. It's also really handy to know your draw weight so you can select the right arrows. So easy to do, essential thing to learn. We're going to continue on with our used bow build, and we're going to talk about stabilizer selection, and we're also going to talk about tuning this bow and getting it actually ready to hunt. We're going to do one episode of tuning that is going to show you how to sight this bow in, how to tune the rest, how to tune the broadheads and get those ready to go, and it's going to show you everything you need to do to get this bow out into the woods. So please be sure to check back with us on that. Like, subscribe, and share these videos. If you're not a subscriber already, hit that subscribe button. Right next to it, you're going to see that bell. If you want to hit that bell, it'll actually notify you anytime we upload a new video. If you're a current subscriber, hit that bell anyway, and it'll let you know when we upload these new videos. Please be sure to follow us on social media as well under Ike's Outdoors. We're on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you guys for watching.